Hey, y'all. Good morning. It's Andrea from Andrea Speaks TV, back to bring you more news and commentary you can use. Listen, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I hope you're doing well. I hope your family is doing well. And again, I want to say thank you for your support. Listen, y'all, you know on the channel we talk about a lot of topics, right? I want to talk about the crisis at the border, okay? Listen to this, y'all. I have an update for you, okay? President Biden, according to my sources, my research, he is sending, listen to this, y'all. President Biden is sending 1,500 troops to the Mexican border. Okay, I'm going to tell you why. Okay, there's a fear of an apparent migrant surge. Okay, it is growing. Listen to this, y'all. Okay, President Biden is sending, please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Okay, President Biden, the article says, is sending 1,500 active duty troops to the southern border, okay? While cities across the country are declaring, listen to this, y'all, they're declaring states of emergency and asking for federal support. I want y'all to realize how serious this is, right? So states across the country, cities across the country are declaring states of emergency and asking for federal support as the country prepares, the United States, y'all, okay, as the country prepares for a surge of migration expected to accompany the lifting of Title 42 border restrictions next week. I'm going to get into all of that, y'all. Don't worry, okay? Now, the article says a large number of migrants have already begun, a large number of migrants have already been illegally entering, okay, El Paso, Texas, in recent days. Hundreds unable to find spots in shelters gathered in the past few days, the article says, around downtown churches in the border city looking for help, according to photos and videos of the scene, okay? Our one deputy city manager said there are an estimated 35,000 migrants in one part of Mexico across the Rio Grande from El Paso, believed to be waiting to cross into the U.S. 35,000, y'all. He's going to send, now let's do the math on this, right? He's going to send 1,500 troops, right, to the border, okay? And it's an estimated 35,000 migrants. Okay, y'all do the math, right? Local officials across the U.S. are worried about similar scenes playing out in their communities, okay? The mayor of Yuma, Arizona has pleaded for federal assistance, while the mayor of Chicago, okay, unsuccessfully asked Texas to not bus more migrants to her city. Now, you all know, I talked about that before on the channel, right, where so many cities, states, communities were basically crying for help. You know, they had an influx of what was being said at the time, the migrants coming in. They were actually putting them on the bus, busing them, okay, to other cities, right? And I told you, it was something about that, like, okay, who decides to just put these people on a bus? They're still human at the end of the day, right? No matter if they're coming, for whatever reason, to seek a better way of life, to escape a war-torn country, everyone, we should not assume that everyone is coming to do harm. There are many people, I would think, that are just coming for a better way of life for themselves, their families, their children, okay? So again, the mayor of Yuma, Arizona has pleaded for federal assistance. So they're asking for federal assistance, while the mayor of Chicago unsuccessfully asked Texas to not bus more migrants to her city. And New York City's mayor is pressuring, listen to this, y'all, is pressuring the state and federal governments to provide billions of dollars in aid. Okay, think about this, y'all. You have a lot of other things that are going on, okay? The Biden administration has been scrambling to prepare for what it expects will be a significant surge of migrants. Listen to this, y'all. When it stops using the public health measure known as Title 42 to rapidly expel migrants beginning May 11th. So keep May 11th in your mind, right? That's about a little less than a week away. So this time next week, y'all, it says beginning May 11th. I guess the Title 42 is going to stop. So the Title 42 public health measure, that's going to end. At the same time, listen to what else stops May 11th, y'all. The same day the pandemic, you know what, the C word, right? I don't know why this channel feels I don't want to say it. Y'all already know where I'm going with this, right? The pandemic emergency ends on May 11th. Now, right away, I have a question about the timing. So you have this Title 42 public health measure that's ending on the same day as the pandemic emergency ending. Coincidence or not? I don't know. You let me know your thoughts. Now, officials, the article says, have estimated illegal crossings will double from recent averages to 10,000 or 11,000 a day in the coming weeks. Again, y'all, I just told you at the very beginning of the article that President Biden is sending 1,500 troops to the border. Now, they said that there's an estimated 35,000 that are waiting somewhere. They're waiting to cross the Rio Grande from El Paso, waiting to cross into the U.S. Then they just said that the estimated illegal crossings will double, okay, to 10,000 or 11,000 in the coming weeks. And now I'm not saying that it's just 1,500 troops. They're going down there to join the people who are already there, maybe as a part of customs or whatever the division is called. So my question is that enough manpower to assist with this influx of migrants? Y'all do the math. I'm gonna let y'all answer that, okay? Y'all do the math. Already, the article says, news of the pandemic era policies end date has spread widely south of the border. Border Patrol agents arrested more than 22,000 migrants in a 3-day period starting over the weekend. Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz tweeted Monday. That's a lot of people, y'all. 22,000 migrants arrested. Think about that, y'all. The Border Patrol had more than 20,000 migrants in custody as of Monday, according to an official with knowledge of the matter. In March, the agency detained an average of 8,600 migrants a day. Y'all, that's a lot, okay? Someone who manages 2 shelters in Reynosa across from McAllen, Texas, said hundreds of migrants have arrived, mostly families from Central America. She said the 2 shelters are at capacity, hosting some 3,000 people in total, okay? In Tijuana, across the border from San Diego, they're saying that shelters are also full with around 5,000 migrants, and there are likely another 5,000 to 7,000 in hotels, private homes, said and this is according to the director for migrant attention at the city government, okay? Now, speaking of Title 42, the article does say that then President Donald Trump began using Title 42 to turn back migrants to Mexico before they could ask for asylum. The Biden administration, the article says, has previously tried to end the policy but was blocked by the courts, okay? The administration, the article says, is readying a new set of policies that would allow the government to quickly deport most migrants crossing into the U.S. back to their home countries rather than across the border to Mexico, okay? But the article says that policy may not have an immediate effect if the Border Patrol is so overwhelmed that it can't quickly process migrants for deportation. Now, again, y'all, I told you, do the math. Does it seem like they have enough manpower to handle this situation? Doesn't seem like it to me, just based on the numbers. I don't know. You all let me know your thoughts, okay? Now, the Defense Department. Hold on, y'all. Okay, the article speaks about the Defense Department, okay? It's sending an additional 1,500 troops to the border temporarily, the article says, for 3 months. So for 3 months, y'all, they're going to have an additional 1,500 troops to the border temporarily for 3 months to augment Customs and Border Protection's missions there, according to a U.S. official. Okay, before this latest deployment, the article says the Pentagon had already sent 2,500 troops to the southern border at the request of the Department of Homeland Security. Now, the additional 1,500 troops would join them on an existing deployment and fill areas of the mission that have gaps, including ground-based detection and monitoring, data entry, and warehouse support, the official said, okay? The first contingent of U.S. troops composed of, now, this is who's going right. The first contingent of U.S. troops composed of Marines and soldiers will begin to arrive as early as May 10th, which at the time of this video is next week. said a Pentagon spokesperson. Now, military personnel aren't allowed to act as law enforcement on American soil, so they can't directly perform arrests of migrants, okay? Instead, the article says they will help with some of the administrative tasks, such as helping process requests from asylum-seeking migrants in need of immigration court dates. Okay, now I didn't know that specifically. I guess it does make sense. Did you all know that according to this source that I'm getting my information from, it says military personnel are not allowed to act as law enforcement on American soil, so they can't directly perform arrests of migrants. Okay, instead, the reason why, according to the article, that they're sending the troops there is so that they can help with some of the administrative tasks. Okay, for example, the article mentions helping process requests from asylum-seeking migrants in need of immigration court dates. Okay, a quote from the White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said on Tuesday, and I quote, "This is a common practice. These personnel will be performing administrative tasks like data entry and warehouse support." Okay. On Monday, the article says the Mexican president said at a news conference that with the imminent lifting of Title 42, migrant smugglers have been telling would-be asylum seekers that it is a good time to reach the U.S. Now, think about that, y'all. Okay. Here's a quote from the Mexican president who said, and I quote, "No, don't take the risk. Don't risk it. We're looking for an orderly mechanism." Okay, he said to potential border crossers. Now, previous surges, the article says, of illegal border crossers have overwhelmed communities along the border where migrants first arrive and in other areas where they're subsequently held or are bussed by state officials in the South. Okay, we talked about that earlier. Now, migrants have ended up filling shelters, camping on streets, and stressing the resources of local aid groups to provide food and assistance. We've talked about all of this, right? The Yuma mayor said on Tuesday that he does support the troops' deployment, though there are still unanswered questions about how it will work. That's my question. How is this going to work, y'all? Okay. He was quoted as saying, "At the end of the day," and I quote, "at the end of the day, it is some sort of acknowledgement of what's going on," said the Republican who previously asked the Biden administration to deploy the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, and possibly the National Guard to help manage the volume of migrants expected to arrive in the city, which has no shelters. Where are the people going to go, right? Congress last appropriated $800 million to assist local governments and nonprofits coping with the large number of migrants. Now, $800 million. Who's paying for that? Taxpayers, taxpaying citizens like you and I? Those are questions to be answered. Do we even have $800 million to give towards this crisis? I don't know. Y'all let me know. Okay. The New York City mayor, said last week that caring for newly arrived asylum seekers in his city is likely to cost $4.3 billion through the summer of 2024. That's next summer, y'all. This is summer 2023. He's saying that it's going to likely cost $4.3 billion through the summer of 2024. The Chicago mayor sent a letter to Texas governor Sunday asking him not to continue busing migrants to her city. She was quoted as saying, "I am yet again appealing to your better nature and asking that you stop this inhumane and dangerous action. Since we began responding to the arrival of migrants sent by your delegation in August 2022, we have shouldered the responsibility of caring for more than 8,000 men, women, and children with no resources of their own." Okay. In a letter to her on Monday, the Texas governor said to the Chicago mayor that she should appeal to the Biden administration to toughen border security. It seems like that's what many people, many representatives, many of our congressional representatives have been advocating for, right? Another quote, "As the mayor of a self-declared sanctuary city, it is ironic to hear you complain about Chicago's struggle to deal with a few thousand illegal immigrants, which is a fraction of the record high numbers we deal with in Texas on a regular basis," the Republican wrote, okay? The Texas governor they're referring to. The quote continued, and I quote, "Until Biden secures the border to stop the inflow of mass migration, Texas will continue this necessary busing program." So it doesn't seem like he's going to slow down at all. And it seems like, okay, he's basically saying, the governor of Texas is basically saying, hold on, y'all. the governor of Texas is basically saying, hey, we're not going to keep, taking all the people in, the families, the women, the children in, and we're not receiving any resources. We're going to start sending them, we're going to continue to send them elsewhere. Again, y'all, does there need to be some form of border control? There should be. I know there are many programs out to assist family. Like I said, we should not assume, okay? It's ignorant to assume that everyone who is crossing the border is coming to do harm, okay? It's ignorant to assume that many families, men, women, and children are coming to seek a better life. They're coming to seek freedoms, a new start. There should be some assistance available to help those people who are escaping situations that are out of their control, right? But at what point do you draw the line and say, enough is enough, or, we can't keep placing this burden on tax-paying citizens? Where's the money going to come from and the resources going to come from? The article continues by saying the potential for a new border surge comes at a sensitive moment for Mr. Biden, or President Biden. They said Mr. Biden in the article, who last week launched his campaign for re-election. Republicans have made President Biden's handling of the border an issue in their campaigns and agenda in the House, where they hold a majority. Okay, on Thursday, Republicans introduced a border bill that would address many of what they view as shortfalls to the system and President Biden's approach. It would reinstate a policy known as Remain in Mexico, which would force migrants seeking asylum to live in dangerous northern Mexican border cities for the duration of their immigration cases, and make many more migrants categorically ineligible for asylum at all. Meaning they could be quickly deported after crossing the border, okay? The House Republican leadership plans to hold a vote on the bill on May 11th, the same day Title 42 is scheduled to end. The bill isn't expected to receive any consideration from the Senate, which Democrats control, okay? Again, y'all, with everything that's happening in our country, we talk about many different things on the channel, right? With all of the things that are happening, here we are with this crisis that seems like, just based on the research, is about to get much, much worse, okay? Let me know your thoughts. Please share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thank you all so much for supporting the channel. I'll be back with more news and commentary you can use right here on Andrea Speaks TV.